Hey, what's going on, everyone? Here with another video. I'm basically going to be showing you how to set this LED board up using this Arduino Nano. All right, so first thing we're going to have to do is actually program this bad boy. We'll be setting it up on this breadboard. This LED board that we're using is WS2812B. It has 64 lights in it. Just in case you wanted to test something out, but this can go on any board that has 3-wire output. I feel like those are the best wires to be using, to be honest. 3 wires, meaning one's positive, the other side's negative, and the middle wire is usually the data wire. So that gives you all the information coming from the Arduino Nano into the LED board. All right, so what we're going to do is get over to the computer. I'm going to show you how to program this. So you're going to stick your USB-C or whatever port you have on yours inside of yours and hook up right to your computer, and I'll show you exactly what to do from there. All right, so now that we're in Arduino IDE, what we're going to have to do is, I haven't connected my board yet. So I'm going to connect my board and it should pop up at the top here. So right up here at the top, you can actually pick your board. So this is mine at the bottom right here. So I'm just going to select that. It's going to give me this selection right here. So I'm using this port right here. The board that you're going to be using, you got to look for what board you're using. This video is specifically on the Nano, but you can use any board you want. It should work the same. So we got Arduino Nano, and then we hit OK. What you're going to have to do is go to Tools, Manage Libraries, Ada, Root, NeoPixel. All right, this one right here, the one I'm running, 1.152. All right, so you're gonna need that 1.15.2. That's what I'm running right now. All right, so once you get that, now close that away, and this is what you're gonna see for your codes right here. What we're gonna have to do is, I'm gonna give you a link in the bottom. You can check it out. There's some codes down there. You can test those out and see if you actually like that. But the code that I'm gonna be using is one of those codes. And set in there. Thickness, direction. Okay. So you can see at the top here, it's basically telling it that there's 64 LEDs. We're going to be using the D6 pin, and we're using the WS2812B LEDs. So these come in strips, or they come in the squares, circles, whatever you actually want. So just make sure you're connecting to the input in. I'll show you that later on. All right, so now that we got that all set up, our board's connected to the computer, now we can just hit this check mark here, file the sketch. Speed this up, it might take a few minutes. Oh, there, it's done. Then we're gonna hit this upload button right here. Should compile it right to the board. Done compiling, uploading, done uploading. All right, so now we're gonna go back to the board and let's see what this looks like. All right, so now that we got our board programmed, we got to make sure that our wires soldered into D6, and then we got to make sure we got ground and 5 volt. All right, so you don't know how this breadboard works. This right here is the power rail. You got your negative and your positive. This side right here is your power rail. They go up and down. So this is not connected to this. These go sideways, that way, that way. Splits right here. This is not connected to this. Okay. So with that said, let's get this party started. So off of this board, we're going to have the ground and the 5-volt. We're going to put that right there inside of the negative. This right here inside of the positive. Okay. That's what's going to power our light. This right here now, just our data pin. This is where all the information's coming through. Okay. So now let's set this up. Now these 3 wires, make sure we got all these right. So my black wire is going to be my ground. Sorry for this second extension. I just had it already soldered, and what I'm going to be putting it into is just going to be a little bit different. So this is just for the video's sake. But what we're going to do here is put this positive inside of the positive. The negative inside of the negative. You don't want to mess this up, okay? And make sure you're coming in on your inside. So this says in. All right. This side at the bottom here says out. All right, so now we're fully connected. Oh, actually we're not. We're forgetting our data pin right here. So we put our data pin right somewhere on that rail next to that. So now once we power this Arduino, let's see what happens to our LED. There we go. Our light show. So I'll have that code in the description for you. If you like it and you want to play around, just test, see what's going on. All right, we're going to try and do one more thing as well. Let's unplug that right there. So you see this switch right here? We're going to get this switch working with it, just in case you wanted to put it into an enclosure and be able to turn it on and off without having to plug it out every single time. So what you would do is this wire right here that's going into positive, would just move that over here. This positive on this side. Okay. Now we're going to put this switch on the positive and positive this side. Okay. So now I plug my Arduino in. My Arduino powers on, but you need to flick your switch on to turn that LED on. Right? So there's actually one more thing you can actually do that's pretty cool. You can set this up. So I'm going to set this up a little bit neater. So I'm going to unplug this Arduino. I'm going to put positive and negative down more on the line. Good. I'm going to take the Arduino positive and I'm going to actually move that over to this side as well. Right? So now we're going to actually have to put some sort of power on that line. So if you actually wanted to put this inside of an enclosure, then power this up, this whole thing would be on a switch. All right, sorry about that. Our camera just shut off. So what happens is you got your positives over here and you got your negatives over here. Okay, you got your switch plugged into your positive over here, and you got your switch plugged into your positive over here. But if I were to plug into this Arduino right now, I'd get no power. Only to the Arduino, but it wouldn't power the light. So we're going to be adding another type of power source, if I can find it. So this is pretty much what we're going to be introducing right here. So for the positive, we're going to put the positive in the positive side. Okay. And the negative in the negative side. Okay. Plug that in there. Oh, and there we go. Turns on. Switch. Turns off the Arduino. And it turns off the light. I hit the switch. Turns on the Arduino. Start flashing. All right, so that's how it goes down. Like, subscribe. Actually, before I go, I'm basically gonna be doing this setup inside of an infinity mirror, so stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, and Look What I Made TV is back.